where does meditation come from? Yeah, who invented this amazing technique? It's got to be somebody. Well, you won't get a single answer. If you ask different meditation teachers, people from different traditions, they'll probably give you different answers. But here's what I know, or what I believe at least, and what I've learned from studying this for most of my life. It seems that meditation comes from India. I don't think there would be a lot of argument about that. Was probably developed or evolved, you can say, out of a shamanic practice amongst the shamans in the Dravidian part of India, the south part of India. So the Dravidian shamans, more than 10,000 years ago, or about that time, they started developing meditative practices, and they were the first ones to come up with ideas like chakras, you may have heard of, or Kundalini. It's a little bit esoteric, but you might have heard of that. The idea of prana, the sort of vital energy in the body. You might have seen diagrams of yogis with, looks like two snakes crossing one another, going up the spine and coming to the behind the nostrils here. All of these ideas came out of that, the beginnings of what's now known as Tantra Yoga, the earliest form of Tantra Yoga. And around 7,000 years ago, the first yogi whose name is remembered, his name was Sadashiva, or Shiva. He's regarded by many as the father of yoga, or the first person to really systematize this practice. So he's been since mythologized virtually, or at least he's a legendary figure. So what's known about him, often he's depicted as a god and all of that, but it seems that he was based on a historical personality. So this practice came out of this very first ancient form of yoga, and that's where the meditative practices came from. Much later, again a figure who's been made into a religious figure but was almost certainly a historical character was Krishna. So Krishna was a very important figure, probably lived about 1500 BC or BCE, that's 3,500 years ago. And he added more to the practice. He gave a lot more philosophy to it and introduced the ideas of service and devotion and wisdom and these as a kind of integrated spiritual path. And then there are other great teachers who've spread meditation. Of course, Buddha is one of the most prominent, and his meditation techniques, he started off studying Tantra actually, but then developed his own kind of path, and those have spread across the world. The practices of Taoism have their roots in India. Taoism is essentially Chinese Tantra, and it migrated and morphed from India into China thousands of years ago. So you'll find all of these practices like Zen, Chan Buddhism in China, the Theravada practices in Southeast Asia, the Tibetan Buddhism, some of the mystical practices even in Europe, even as far as Europe, and certainly the Jain religion, the Hindu religion, and yoga. All of these have common roots. They've evolved or grown from this beginning point long ago in the south of India, more than 7,000 years ago.